Look at your legs for a moment. I mean it. Not your shoes, not the carpet, your legs. The part of your body that has carried you through decades of work, stress, responsibility, and quiet strength. The part that helped you keep going when life asked more of you than it should have. Now be honest with yourself. Do your legs feel the same as they did 10 years ago? Or do they feel colder than they used to? Heavier? A little slower to wake up when you stand? Do they sometimes feel like they lag behind your mind? Like they need an extra second before they respond? If you are over 75, you are not imagining this. And no, it does not mean you are getting lazy. It does not mean you have lost your willpower. It simply means your body may be sending signals that your circulation needs more support than it did before. Most people assume circulation problems start in the heart, but very often they start much farther down, in the smaller blood vessels deep inside the calves, the thighs, and the feet. These tiny pathways are like narrow side streets that feed oxygen into your muscles. And with age, those pathways can become less responsive. They don't open as easily, they don't relax as smoothly, and when that happens, the oxygen delivery to your legs becomes slower and weaker. That is why some older adults notice their legs feel far away, not in pain necessarily, just distant, a little numb, a little tired, a little cold. Here is the good news. Your body is not broken. In many cases, it is simply asking for the right support. And researchers have noticed something interesting when they compare older adults who continue walking comfortably into their 80s and 90s with those who begin struggling earlier. It often isn't about luck. It often isn't even about genetics. In many cases, it comes down to nutritional status. Certain vitamins show up again and again in people whose blood vessels still respond well, whose legs stay warmer, whose walking endurance stays stronger, whose lower body still feels alive and capable. Today I want to share 6 vitamins that are commonly linked to healthier circulation in the legs as we age. I'll take you through them from number 6 to number 1, building from the simplest support to the one that makes the biggest difference for many older adults. And stay with me, because vitamin number 2 surprised many researchers with how strongly it supported walking endurance and warmth in older adults who thought their best days were behind them. One quick question before we begin. Where are you watching from today? I always enjoy reading your comments, and it helps this community grow stronger, smarter, and more supported together. Now let's begin with vitamin number 6. Vitamin number 6, vitamin E. When most people hear vitamin E, they think of skin. But vitamin E has another job that matters deeply as we age, especially in the legs. Inside every healthy blood vessel is a smooth inner layer that helps blood move freely. You can think of it like the lining of a clean, flexible hose. Over time, that lining can become less smooth and less flexible. And when the lining gets stressed, irritated, or stiff, blood flow becomes less efficient. It doesn't move as easily through the smallest vessels, especially in the lower legs and feet, where gravity already makes circulation work harder. Vitamin E is often discussed as a protective nutrient because it helps defend the cells inside your blood vessels from everyday wear and tear. When people don't get enough vitamin E, that inner lining can become less supported, and the blood vessels may not relax and respond the way they once did. Now here's something very important. Vitamin E is not just one thing. There are different forms of vitamin E, and the form matters. Many people take cheap synthetic vitamin E and assume it's the same as what you get from foods. But your body may handle natural vitamin E differently. That is why, if you prefer food sources, some of the best options include almonds, sunflower seeds, and wheat germ oil. And there is one more detail that many people miss. Vitamin E is fat soluble. That means your body absorbs it better when you eat it with some healthy fat. Something like olive oil, avocado, or a small portion of eggs can help carry it into the system. If you ever choose to supplement vitamin E, it's usually better to look for labels that mention mixed tocopherols rather than only one isolated form. And instead of taking everything at once, Many people feel better when they take smaller amounts with meals because absorption can be gentler and steadier. Now, vitamin E can be a helpful foundation, but it's not the only piece of the puzzle. So let's move to number 5. Vitamin number 5, vitamin C. Vitamin C seems simple, almost too common. But in older adults, vitamin C can make a meaningful difference in the strength and flexibility of blood vessels. Here's why. Your blood vessels are supported by a structure called collagen. Collagen is like the framework that helps keep tissues strong, resilient, and stable. And vitamin C plays a key role in helping your body produce and maintain collagen. If you're low in vitamin C, your body struggles to maintain that support system. Blood vessels can become less resilient over time, and circulation can become less efficient, especially in the lower body where the vessels work against gravity every single day. Vitamin C also supports the body's ability to handle oxidative stress, which is a normal part of aging. Over time, oxidative stress can weaken the smooth function of blood vessels. So giving the body enough vitamin C can be like giving it basic maintenance tools to keep the system running better. But here's the challenge. Vitamin C is water soluble. That means your body doesn't store much of it. So taking a huge amount once in a while often isn't as effective as getting smaller amounts throughout the day. That is why consistent vitamin C intake tends to work better for older adults than all-at-once dosing. Now, for food sources, you might think oranges are the best, but kiwi fruit is actually one of the strongest sources, and many older adults tolerate it very well. Bell peppers are also excellent. If you prefer supplements, some people find buffered vitamin C is gentler than standard vitamin C tablets, especially if the stomach is sensitive, and many people do well with vitamin C taken with meals rather than on an empty stomach. Vitamin C may not feel dramatic, but it supports the structure of your circulation system from the inside out. Now, let's go to number 4. Vitamin number 4. Vitamin B3, also called niacin. Vitamin B3 is one of the most unique vitamins on this list because it can sometimes create a noticeable feeling of warmth. Some people experience what is often called a flush, that warmth and redness that can happen after taking certain forms of niacin. Now, I want to be careful here. That flush can feel uncomfortable for some people, but the reason it happens is because small blood vessels are opening and relaxing. Blood flow increases closer to the surface of the skin, and the body feels warmer. That is one reason niacin is often discussed when people talk about circulation support. Many older adults say they feel warmer in their feet and lower legs when their circulation improves, and niacin is one of the nutrients that may help with that response in some individuals. Niacin is also well known for supporting healthy cholesterol balance in the body, which can indirectly support healthy blood flow over time. But here is the most important part. Niacin is not for everyone, and it should never be taken aggressively. If someone chooses to use it, it's usually better to start with a very small amount and slowly increase over time rather than jumping into high doses. Also, there are different forms of niacin. Some forms are designed to reduce flushing, while others are more likely to cause it, and the experience can vary widely from one person to another. For food sources, niacin is found in foods like poultry, peanuts, and certain fish. Now, niacin can support circulation for some people, but the next vitamin works in a deeper way. Let's go to number 3. Vitamin number 3, vitamin K2. Vitamin K2 doesn't get talked about enough, and yet it may be one of the most important nutrients for supporting healthy blood vessel aging. Here's the idea in simple terms. Calcium is essential for your body, but calcium needs to be in the right places. You want calcium in the bones. You do not want calcium building up in places where it doesn't belong. Vitamin K2 helps guide calcium in a healthier direction, supporting the body's natural balance. As we get older, some people notice that their blood vessels feel less flexible, less responsive. And part of the reason may be that blood vessels become more rigid over time. K2 is often discussed because it supports proteins involved in keeping blood vessels healthier and more flexible. Now, K2 is different from vitamin K1. Vitamin K1 is common in leafy greens and is well known for supporting normal clotting function. Vitamin K2 is found more in fermented foods and certain animal-based foods. One of the richest sources is natto, a fermented soybean food eaten in Japan. But if you've ever tried natto, you know it's not for everyone. Other sources include aged cheeses, egg yolks, and butter from grass-fed sources. Many people prefer a supplement form of K2, and one commonly used form is MK7, which stays in the body longer than some other forms. And because K2 is fat-soluble, it is usually best taken with a meal that contains some fat. One important note: if you take any medication that affects clotting, it's essential to talk with a medical professional before using vitamin K supplements because it may not be appropriate for your situation. Now, we're getting close to the top two, and these are the ones that many older adults notice the most. Let's go to number two. Vitamin number two, vitamin D3. Vitamin D3 is often called a vitamin, but it behaves more like a hormone in the body. It plays a role in many systems, including how blood vessels function. As we age, many people get less sunlight than they used to. They spend more time indoors, or they cover up more, or they simply don't absorb sunlight the same way. And that can lead to low vitamin D levels, especially in older adults. Healthy vitamin D levels are often linked to better blood vessel function, including the ability of blood vessels to relax and respond. And that relaxation matters, because when blood vessels can relax properly, blood flow becomes smoother, oxygen delivery becomes stronger, and the legs may feel more alive and responsive. Now, here's an important point. If someone supplements with vitamin D3, it's often recommended to take it with food because it is fat soluble. And many people choose to pair vitamin D3 with vitamin K2 because D3 supports calcium absorption and K2 helps guide calcium where it belongs. Food sources of vitamin D3 include fatty fish like salmon and sardines, but many older adults still rely on supplements to maintain good levels. Another important note: vitamin D is something you can actually measure with a simple blood test, so you don't have to guess. You can ask your doctor to check it and decide what's appropriate for you. Now we've reached the number one vitamin on the list, and this one is often overlooked, even though it can quietly affect how your legs feel every day. Vitamin number one, vitamin B12. Vitamin B12 is one of the most important nutrients for older adults to understand, because even if you eat well, your body might not absorb it the way it used to. After age 60, many people produce less stomach acid, and they also produce less of what's called intrinsic factor, which helps the body absorb B12 from food, so a person can eat meat, eggs, and fish, and still end up low in B12. Now, why does B12 matter so much for the legs? Because B12 is connected to two major systems that affect how your legs feel. First, B12 supports healthy red blood cell production. Red blood cells help carry oxygen to your tissues, including the muscles in your legs. Second, B12 supports the health of nerves. And that matters because nerves help control how blood vessels respond, and they also affect sensations in the legs and feet. When B12 is low, some people notice signs like tingling, numbness, weakness, balance issues, or an uncomfortable burning sensation in the feet. Many people assume that's just getting older, but I recommend you treat those signs as a reason to pay attention and support your body, not something to ignore. Now, B12 testing can be tricky. A basic B12 test does not always show the full picture for every person. That's why some doctors also check other markers when they want a clearer answer. If you are unsure, it's worth having a conversation with your doctor and asking what testing makes sense for you. If someone supplements B12, many people prefer forms that dissolve under the tongue because they may be easier to absorb, and the form matters too. Some people choose methylcobalamin, which is an active form that the body can use more directly. Now, I want you to hear this clearly. If you have been feeling like your legs are getting colder, heavier, slower, or weaker, that does not automatically mean this is your new normal. Sometimes it simply means your body needs support in places that weren't a problem before. And even small improvements in circulation can make daily life feel easier. Standing up feels smoother. Walking feels less tiring. Feet feel warmer. Legs feel more responsive. So, what should you do first? I recommend starting with the basics. Make sure you're eating enough protein, enough colorful foods, and enough healthy fats. Then consider checking vitamin D and B12 levels, because those are two of the most common areas where older adults may need extra support. And from there, you can build. Vitamin C can be a steady daily helper. Vitamin E may support blood vessel comfort. Vitamin K2 may help support healthier blood vessel aging. And vitamin B3 may support warmth and blood flow in a way some people can actually feel. If you've listened this far, it tells me you're serious about taking care of yourself. And that matters, because your body listens to what you consistently give it. Not what you do once, but what you do week after week. Consistency beats perfection every time. If this topic helped you today, let me know in the comments. And tell me, which one of these vitamins surprised you the most? Thank you for spending this time with me, and I'll see you in the next video.